So media literacy, or lack thereof, has been a term I've seen thrown around over the last few years. If you are unaware what media literacy is, it refers to one's ability to critically analyze text, passages, and stories, fictional or not. Although being similar to reading comprehension, it's not exactly the same. Reading comprehension refers to ability to know and understand the passages and stories. The difference is, can you properly interpret what message the author is trying to convey to the reader? Why am I telling you this? Because over the last few weeks, I witnessed the failed character assassination attempt of G.I. Robot from James Gunn's Creature Commandos, with a group of people that were referred to as the other side trying so hard to change the narrative of one of Creature Commandos' most beloved characters, G.I. Robot. So long-time viewers already know I already talked about Creature Commandos here on the channel in an earlier video when I analyzed the Frankenstein's family and spoke highly of the show and its characters. I like Creature Commandos, I really do, and I can't wait for season 2. When I saw the conversation pertaining to G.I. Robot, I was gagged to say the least. So you might be wondering, where did this all start? And most importantly, what was the conversation even about? If you have no idea what I'm referring to, let's meet Coom. For the most part, Coom is a far-right conservative TikTok creator who spends most of his time rage-baiting people with his political agenda. I say this because most of the content I've seen from him falls under the line of, oh, your favorite piece of media secretly supporting my far-right beliefs, and if you don't like my beliefs, you must not understand your favorite show. One of the videos that caught my attention is him claiming that Naruto's monkey would have support ICE. This TikTok itself set the any-talk community on fire, causing a lot of known creators to respond and debunk his claim. As a person who didn't watch Naruto, I quickly disregarded because I felt the creator was being heavily disingenuous. Granted, I couldn't tell you why I felt this at the time, but at that moment I recognized what kind of person, or better yet, what kind of creator he was, and I quickly blocked him until I saw people generally reacting to his G.I. Robot take. He claims that G.I. Robot fans like media literacy and no troll. This is Hall of Fame rage bait right here, because boy, people took it and generally wasted their time properly analyzing G.I. Robot to a troll who just didn't care. You might be asking yourself, what was the take in question? Well, let me play the clip right here.
Funny thing about G.I. Robot is the people who like the character genuinely do lack media literacy, and I'm beginning to notice a pattern. This is a character that is a reference to Don Quixote. You know, a mentally ill person. A mentally ill, delusional knight who thinks that windmills are giants, and then proceeds to attack them. And then proceeds to enact violence upon them on the basis of that delusion. He is Don Quixote.
So yeah, let's address his claims. He said that G.I. Robot is a clear reference to Don Quixote. I don't know who that is, but based on his own explanation of the character, it doesn't line up with the narrative presentation of G.I. Robot. So for the sake of this video, let's agree with his explanation of Don Quixote to give him the most benefit of the doubt, because as you will see later on, this comparison doesn't line up with G.I.'s character. He originally claimed that Don Quixote is a mentally ill person who attacks windmills thinking that they're giants. Based on his false perception of reality, how does this pertain to G.I. Robot? I don't know, because G.I. Robot was programmed with the primary objective to kill Nazis. Yes, it has been stated that he's somewhat sentient, being classified as a very first AI model, but for the most part, he's distinctly operating under his original function, which is to kill Nazis. Now, if that honestly upsets you, I guess you're on the other side. In episode 3 of Creature Commandos, we get to see more of G.I.'s backstory. He has a conversation with Dr. William Magnus, a scientist and engineer who specializes in AI. With Dr. William pressing G.I. on his obsession with Nazis, G.I. explains he was created with the sole mandate to eliminate all of them. Dr. William asks G.I. if he really wants to kill Nazis. G.I. responded by saying what he wants is irrelevant. He is casting any personal feelings aside as he carries out his primary objective. We have to remember that for the most part, although being considered a conscious AI, G.I. Robot is still very much a machine just trying to carry out what he's designed for. He isn't a person like you or me who can change in a traditional sense. He is a former relic of his time, forced to cope with the reality that he has no purpose. And when pushed to find any sort of interest outside of killing Nazis, he explained to Dr. William that all he wants is to see his old battle buddies who fought in World War II with him. He isn't mentally ill or mentally impaired in any way. He's just a machine doing what machines do, and that is to do what they're made for.
G.I. Robot's entire thing is that he runs around accusing normal people of being Nazis.
That's an incredibly poor way to reinterpret G.I. Robot. Yes, there are some scenes that have G.I. Robot questioning people whether they're Nazis or not, but most of these scenes I found to be just nothing but comedic gags, because G.I. Robot never acts on any of his suspicions unless he has any confirmation.
He is delusional. He is mentally ill. He's broken. Fundamentally broken, unable to tell reality from fiction. What's more, that mental illness, that delusion, that is exploited by external forces. External forces exploit this robot's mental illness, his delusion, to enact violence upon their enemies. It's like, oh, what? This character's really popular with people on Reddit? Wow, I wonder why. I wonder why.
So he goes on to make the claim that G.I. Robot's quote-unquote mental illness was being exploited by external forces to target their enemies. Again, no. Throughout the entirety of season 1, we only see G.I. Robot in combat 3 times. The first is his flashbacks to World War II, where he was literally fighting Nazis, so clearly he's not referring to that. The second is another flashback where he discovered that his caretaker was part of a secret Nazi group. Again, clearly that's not what he's talking about. And lastly, during the scene where Rick Flags and the rest of the creature commandos were attacked by Cerberus's group, the Sons of Themyscira, Rick Flag gave G.I. Robot direct orders to fight off the Sons of Themyscira, calling them Nazis in the act of self-defense. All 3 times G.I. Robot was in combat were for justified reasons. So as you can see here, this TikTok was horrible. Not only because of the fact that his Don Quixote comparison was horrible, his insight and interpretation of G.I. Robot as a character was heavily dishonest at best and borderline lying. He intentionally avoided any nuance in G.I. Robot's character, painting a completely different picture of who he actually was, while claiming that G.I. Robot fans lack any real media literacy. You might be wondering why even attack the fans. I don't know how many are active on TikTok, but G.I. Robot PFP users have garnered a pretty good reputation of being one of the nicest people on the platform. But a lot has happened lately, with a certain political group being accused of some pretty bad things. This caused a reaction where people start using G.I. Robot as a way to express their political belief against the other side, either by making memes featuring him or using him as a reactionary image. I only assume this trend kinda ticked off the other side of TikTok, so when Neo posted the original TikTok, this blew up on both sides, with the other side trying so hard to reinforce Neo's original take. Prax over here seems to be a political commentator who leans to the right, and in fairness, I'm not too familiar with his content. But he also put his hat in the ring when it came to this G.I. Robot conversation, so let's see what he has to say. But be aware that you guys are probably to the same talking points being used again in a dishonest fashion. They pretty much all skip over G.I.'s most important details, so because of that, I'm gonna stop at any falsehoods he makes.
Right now there's a weird trend of people idealizing G.I. Robot, a character from the TV show Creature Commandos.
Already, I don't like his opening statement in this video because Creature Commandos came out around last year, and G.I. was already one of the most popular characters, so the term idolizing is kinda strange to me, because most of what you'll see are just people simply using him as a reactionary image, with no one emulating him in an effort to be more like him.
And I believe this trend signifies how the left is becoming more and more bloodthirsty.
He claims that the left is becoming more violent, and this fictional character seems to be either a cause or a sign of that, even though he's not real. I'm just gonna say this video came out about the time that Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and ever since then, the right has tried so hard to play the victim, claiming that the left has become dangerously violent. I want to say this, I don't condone any political violence whatsoever, but be for real, the right has done a good portion of the violence as well over the last few years. Remember January 6th? Vance Luther, the suspect believed to be responsible for killing Democratic Minnesota lawmakers? And even worse, what about the Charlie Kirk fan who killed 2 teenage girls over their comments about his death and went on to brag about it on a live stream? So yeah, we're not gonna do this, we're the victim mentality right now.
You see, G.I. Robot served in World War II. Later on, he's revived, and he finds out that the person who revived him is part of a National Socialist group.
Yeah, the Nazis. Carry on.
He then proceeds to slaughter everyone in the group completely unprovoked, including people in wheelchairs and people with walkers.
G.I. Robot doesn't need to be provoked because he was made with the primary obligation to kill all Nazis, and that's exactly what he did. Keep in mind, he was arrested and put through a fair trial and found guilty in all counts of his murder.
G.I. Robot doesn't care about people initiating violence. He doesn't care about whether or not they're actually causing harm. He just wants to slaughter everyone who has this political ideology. Contrast this with someone like Captain America, who actually has a moral code and would not commit the same heinous act.
Yeah, because Captain America is an actual person in the confines of his fictional universe with his own morals and principles, something that a machine like G.I. Robot doesn't have. The most you can say that G.I. is vaguely self-aware. He still mostly runs under his original program of killing Nazis. I'm pretty sure he doesn't even understand why Nazism is even bad. G.I. Robot is a literal killing machine.
Now, the writers of the show could have included something like a terrorist plot. This group of National Socialists were planning on attacking a synagogue, and then G.I. Robot stops them before they do it.
This point right here is beyond fucking stupid. This nigga wanted this Nazi group to have a B plot that involves them planning a terrorist attack, while the main plot of season 1 is that the son of Themyscira is a terrorist group trying to assassinate the princess. So your proposal of G.I. Robot killing a Nazi terrorist group would be somewhat repetitive. Did you even watch the show in its totality?
But they don't do that. They're all just sitting there peacefully alone, discussing their heinous beliefs.
We haven't done anything. We're a totally peaceful racist group.
Yeah, honestly, I don't care about peaceful fictional Nazis dying because I have no real remorse for them. They're not actual people. If this was real life, that would be completely different, because real world consequences would follow. But we're talking about a fictional show about a secret military task force made up of monsters. The sense of remorse for a human life being taken just isn't the same here. And outside of the fact that they're humans, I have no personal connections to them.
And that was enough for all of them to be slaughtered, for their brains to be blown out all over the walls.
Yes.
They weren't these armed Nazis that G.I. Robot had formerly encountered on the front lines. They were a bunch of weird old guys just getting together and talking about how much they hate certain people.
Talking about weird old guys, these niggas are fucking Nazis. Like, why are you trying so hard to sympathize with fictional Nazis? That's a tad bit strange.
The idea that we should slaughter people for doing things like this is absolutely insane and sociopathic, and it leads people to actually do these things. Even worse, oftentimes the victims are not the people who believe the things that these National Socialists believed. This is actually dangerous stuff because you have this priming in the show where you can slaughter unarmed civilians as long as they are National Socialists.
No, that's not how that works. By that same logic, you have to hate Batman because he doesn't kill the Joker. But no, most people can understand the story structure and reasoning behind why Batman doesn't kill his rogues. You present a slippery slope argument with no real evidence or reasoning. What your point boiled down to was just a bold, blanket claim. It's no different when old niggas say violent video games cause more violent crime.
And what that does is it leads other people to justify slaughtering unarmed civilians by calling them National Socialist or Nazis. Take Charlie Kirk, for example. He didn't believe anything close to what the National Socialists believed. He believed what the average Republican does. Yet people justify his assassination and say it was a good thing by calling him a National Socialist. It might not seem so bad to say it's okay to slaughter Nazis just because we know how vile they are. However, these people think that every Republican is a Nazi. They think that every libertarian is a Nazi. And even if they don't, they will claim you are just to justify your death.
Yeah, that was the last bit of that clip. So yeah, Charlie Kirk was the reason for this TikTok. He basically just used his death to push his agenda while using a fictional character that has no real correlation to him. He makes this mad generalization on how G.I. Robot fans act, saying that they all think every Republican is a Nazi. Again, he has no real substantial evidence to even suggest this statement. The most he's doing is going off a fucking TikTok comment section because yeah, that's so reliable. And his whole stance of people using Charlie Kirk's belief to justify his death, I don't care. Niggas made fun of George Floyd. And they also made fun of Trayvon Martin. So yeah, you can take a little Charlie Kirk jokes here and there, little nigga. Don't cry now since it's happening to you. Out of every creator here, I'm most familiar with JD's content. I originally followed him because he primarily used to make content on life as a person in the prison system. He'd answer common questions his commenters had on the prison system itself or prison culture and its dynamics. This gave leeway to his thoughts on pedophilia because, as we all know, prison is not the safest place if you have a history of messing with kids. So put a pin on that aspect of his content for now. I just want y'all to know, this man is the reason I even decided making this video. So you might be wondering, what did JD did to give me this idea to respond to this G.I. Robot discourse? Well, it was this video right here.
In urgent breaking news that all parents need to know, pedophiles are using this profile picture character to identify each other on social media. These demented kitty diddlers are hiding behind the guise of being anti-fascist and anti-Nazi, when really, they have a whole bunch of CP all over their hard drives. They're unironically using this cartoon character, who was a robot, G.I. Robot, who was built to hunt Nazis, but never given the parameters or the nuance to be able to identify actual Nazis, so he gets easily manipulated into attacking other people's enemies under the guise that they're Nazis. Just because these people lack the mental capacity to be able to understand how stupid this is, does not mean they're not a threat to your children. Be advised. Bunch of stupid weirdos.
Yes, this guy really think this clear meme hating on GI Robot fans is an actual PSA, and he's presenting it to his large audience, treating it like it's fact. Keep in mind, I've never personally seen this guy even talk about James Gunn's Creature Commandos, nor have I ever seen him talk about media analysis, so this content came far right of left field. Like I said before, the post he's reacting to is clearly a joke, the whole joke being, if you like this content or character, you're a pedophile. You see these memes everywhere, especially on Twitter. The problem is that he doesn't even make rage bait or troll content, at least from what I've seen, and now he's taking his news reporting route with his content. Now imagine how dangerous this guy with his following could be. This nigga is straight up spreading false information. This matters because, like I said, one of the pillars of his content is how much he hates pedophiles. He has coined the phrase, put them in a wood chipper. He even has merchandising representing his stance on them. And when it comes to his explanation or interpretation of GI Robot, it's the wash and repeat talking point we've seen from the two other creators here in this video. And 2 of the 3 times GI Robot actually fought, he successfully identified and killed actual Nazis. In the 3rd fight, he was told that the sons of Themyscira were Nazis under Rick Flagg's guidance to defend themselves. Keep in mind, yes, the Sons of Themyscira were later revealed to be serving a overall greater good, trying to prevent World War III, because they were tasked to kill the princess who turned out to have dark and twisted motives, but that doesn't make them the good guys. I'm pretty sure they didn't even know why Cersei wanted the princess dead. They were just radicalized by her. And side note, before attempting to kill the princess, one of them even suggesting raping her. These are the type of niggas you're defending, by the way. Did you know that? I feel like you didn't know that, and that's a problem. You just see dick and you want to hop on it to the point that you gave a robot a dick to ride. Nigga, that's fucking embarrassing. And my main issue is that you and GI Robot are the same fucking person. You made a ton of TikToks talking about how you want the worst for pedophiles, disregarding their life. Again, I personally don't care because yeah, they do deserve the worst, but the same can go for Nazis. The only difference is that GI Robot cannot go against his original task because he was built for it. Is it a hot take to say that a Nazi is the same tier of garbage as a pedophile? So yeah, all these TikTok creators were able to misrepresent GI Robot in great dishonest fashion. Do I think they're Nazis or Nazi apologists? No, I just think they were just trying to make a narrative for the sake of political points. And I do believe that the videos are so bad, it takes the average Creature Commandos fan to see the plot holes in their argument. The fact that all 3 creators share the same exact talking points, misconstruing the events of the show to push some agenda is kind of laughable. But that's why I'm here, to set the record straight. Creature Commandos is a good show, and GI Robot is a good character, and I see why people love him. Until next time, I'm your host Taken, and we do a little reviewing around here. Peace out.